I just felt like everyone is watching. Nikki has this, quote unquote success story. She had her baby when she was 16 and she moved to New York, and oh, wow, she had another baby and had to give up. No, I didn't. When you're faced with adversities, you don't know how strong you can possibly be until you're in that moment. And I definitely had times where it seemed like I can't do this. I can't take care of this kid. I can't get him to practice. I can't finish my work, but somehow, and by God's grace, I was able to get it done. I don't have to prove anything to anyone except myself. I'm going to have exactly what I set out for. I feel like if you are really passionate about something, it won't leave you alone. It won't let you go. Hi, this is Nikki Osei-Barrett, and you are listening to Dreams and Drive.
Hey, Dream Drivers, welcome to episode 364 of the Dreams and Drive podcast. And today we are throwing it back to episode 280 with the talented Nikki Osei-Barrett. I wanted to throw it back to this episode because I'm currently in the spirit of not letting your current circumstances define where you're going. And I think that Nikki's story speaks exactly to that. So if you're a dream driver who needs some motivation, needs some inspiration, you are in for a treat today. So let's throw it back to that old intro and we're going to get right into Nikki's interview.
Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to the colorful world of Skittles. Skittles brings you a jolt of 5 fruity flavors in every bite, giving you the chance to taste the rainbow like never before. Break free from the ordinary day-to-day with the help of Skittles Chewy Candy. Skittles is a must in my candy jar, movie snack, even my secret, so an afternoon pick-me-up. And I don't even care who knows it. Add a splash of joy to your day with Skittles. There's nothing better than fruity fun that tickles your taste buds. Taste the rainbow.
Today, our guest is wife, mom, and entrepreneur, Nikki Osei-Barrett. So today we are going to be talking with Nikki all about her dream driving journey. Here's a little bit more about Nikki. She's a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, and she's a teen mom success story. So she's married to her high school sweetheart. They now have 3 beautiful children. She's an HBCU grad, a strategic communicator, and the owner of Osei PR, which is a boutique fashion, beauty, and lifestyle PR agency. Nikki is truly a boss mom. She also is the co-founder of District Motherhued, which is a nonprofit that caters to millennial moms of color. And she's also the co-founder of the Momference, which is the nation's first full-scale conference for Black moms, right? And what I really love about this episode is Nikki just keeps it so real about her journey and all the ups and downs and why you really can't hesitate when you have this desire, this urge, and this calling within you to really put a dream into motion. Don't let life, don't let things, don't let hurdles, don't let challenges be the reason why you didn't at least try. And Nikki's going to really give us the details about how she was able to do that along her own journey. And I'll leave her to discuss the details of what that journey is. From a teen mom to a boss mom to putting a lot of dreams, a lot of companies, a lot of ideas into motion. And I'm really excited for you all to hear that story. As always, if you love this episode, make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening. We are Dreams and Drive across the board on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and use the hashtag Dreams and Drive as well when sharing. And if you want to be part of our email newsletter, The Keys, and get weekly updates via your email inbox, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/join. That's dreamsanddrive.com/join. All right, let's hear from Nikki.
Hey, Raina. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am excited to have you on. We were talking beforehand, and I was trying to figure out, how did I first hear of Nikki? Where did we virtually connect online and we were able to figure it out? You pitched me for, I think a past client of yours. And it's just funny how I said, your story is so interesting, right? And I was on your list and you sent me a pitch about your new book. And I'm like, I want Nikki on the show. I think that it's the right timing. And here we are, right?
I appreciate it so much. And yes, I definitely pitched you. I was email hustling my clients. So this is definitely a full circle moment.
Definitely. So you know how this is. I love to kind of go back in time, right? I think it's really important for us as we talk about where we're going with our dreams to think about where they started, right? So as a kid, the young Nikki, right? What was inspiring you back then? What were your dreams and hopes as a 8-year-old, 10-year-old?
Wow. So 8-year-old Nikki, she was an avid reader. Like I used to read all the things. I wish that I still had like the time and the mind to read the way that I did then and consume books in that way. But I read all the time, Babysitter's Club, Sweet Valley, mysteries, all of that. And I also had an obsession with the news. When I was a child, I wanted to be a meteorologist. Why, I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. They knew the weather. They were on TV. And so in hindsight, I guess it was always destined for me to work with media because I am a full-time publicist. I own and operate Osei Public Relations, which is a boutique PR agency. And I work with fashion, beauty, and luxury lifestyle clients. But I always pitch the media. I always pitch the news. So I guess it was kind of destined for me to do this work. But yeah, that as a child, what inspired me, I would say, I'm not too sure what inspired me as a child. I just had a lot of interest.
I guess you wanted to be a meteorologist. Like, what were the things that you really used to light you up? Like places you loved to go, things that just made you happy as a kid?
It was books for me. It really was. Like I loved the book fair. You know how the book fair would come to school.
The Scholastic, right? If you didn't have money,
book fair, exactly.
If you had your money, you would have always the odd one out, right?
Exactly. And my dad knew I would come home with the little Scholastic pamphlet and I'd pick out my books. He'd give me my money. And then I also got to work in the book fair because I, was a good kid. I was a teacher's pet. So I got to work in the book fair. So I was always really inspired by books. And then I guess later on as a teen that evolved into a love of magazines. I'm a magazine junkie. That if you could look at my desk right now, there's magazines. Still,
even though everything's gone digital, a lot of
everything, print is not dead. It's not dead.
Okay.
So yes, this is true. Everything is kind of going digital, but I do still have subscriptions. I do support print publications. There's nothing like opening up a glossy and the smell. I love the smell of bookstores, and it's very nostalgic. Like I'll walk into a Barnes and Noble or any bookstore, Books A Million, and it takes me back to my childhood.
Well, you know what? I'm writing this down. You wanted to be a meteorologist, and I just want to see it. I love kind of making a full circle connection, right? Weather, predicting the future, right? Thinking about your work as a publicist, you really are like selling stories about the future for your clients. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Maybe there's some kind of tie-in that we'll make a connection to by the end of this interview. But all right, so you wanted to do that as a kid. As you evolved into a teenager and a young adult, how did those dreams pan out? Like what was your reality as a teenager?
Well, as a teenager, I fell in love very early. I met my now husband when I was 15. We got pregnant with our first child when we were 15.
When you were 15?
When I was 15 years old. Definitely not the trajectory my parents saw for me or that I saw for myself. Never could have told me this. We had our first son when we were 16, and he's about to be 21 now. So that kind of changed, I guess, the way the future looked for me, but not really. So I gave birth to my oldest son when I was 16, and I was still very much into magazines. I developed a love of fashion. I graduated from high school. I went to Bowie State University in Bowie, Maryland. My major was mass communications with a public relations concentration. I wrote for the school newspaper, and I explored editorial, I explored journalism, I explored, potentially writing for a publication, but then I happened upon public relations, which is kind of a hybrid of all of these things. It's like, you get to work with the media, you get to pitch editors, you get to craft stories, but as a publicist, you also get to see, the collections, depending on your specialty. I, of course, wanted to be a fashion publicist. So you get to see the collections ahead of time. You get to dress celebrities. You get to put your clients' collections in publications. You get to go to fashion. It all just seems so glamorous. And I said, okay, well, this is what I want to do. So obviously in Maryland, there aren't too many fashion related opportunities. So I knew that I was going to transition to New York when I graduated from college. And I did. I made sure to build a portfolio while I was in undergrad because I was aware that would be needed. I wrote for the school newspaper for 2 years. I didn't have as many internships as I could have. And for anyone that's looking to go into fashion, beauty, lifestyle, public relations, definitely get these internships under your belt. But thankfully, I did have a solid body of work. I started pitching myself to PR agencies in New York. I landed an internship. I graduated from Bowie State December 2009, and I moved to New York January 2010. And at that time, I had a 10-year-old son.
Oh, girl, let me stop you right there, right?
I know, right? It's a lot, girl.
But let me stop you right there, because as you were talking, right, as you guys know, listeners of the show, or if you're a new listener, I have a newly 1-year-old son, right? And I'm like, wait. You did all of this and you had a family at this point, right? So let me just bring you back a little bit, because there might even be somebody listening in who is like, wait, this is my story right now. I can relate to you. How did you, I think the biggest thing, people are probably listening, young mom, 16, right? You're still a teenager.
Yeah.
But still, that didn't kill the dream, right? Or you didn't let that be what was going to define your life. You made it part of your life, but you didn't make it life stopping, right?
Exactly.
If you can remember, I know you said your son is now 21. What were some of the things, or how did you make sure that your life didn't stop? Because I think there's a stigma attached to teen mothers, especially Black, mothers as well. So can we talk about that just a little bit? Like
Absolutely.
How did you make that not, dream killing for you?
Well, I can say that it was definitely a difficult time, and I totally glossed over that. But thankfully, I did have the support of my husband, my in-laws. My family, I'm from Ghana, so it was like really, really taboo to have a child at 16, to have a child out of wedlock. And for a while there, I was kicked out of my house. I lived with my boyfriend's family for a bit. My mother, she came around and was like, you're having my grandchild. I want you to move back home with us. And so I did, but it wasn't necessarily comfortable. My dad, he definitely kind of told me that I wasn't going to be anything. I wasn't going to go anywhere.
Look at you now, right? Look at you now.
Right. I'm just going to have more and more kids and I'm not going to be successful. And I kind of used that as fuel. Like, you think I'm not going to do it, but because you said that, I'm going to do everything that you said I couldn't do. And I was able to do so because I did have the support. And I do realize that there are lots of teen moms that don't have the support, that don't have the resources, and they are available. So I am trying to work on a platform where those resources can be easily accessible, like a one-stop shop, based on location. But that's a different conversation. But yeah, I used the fuel. I used my father's words as fuel. So I didn't graduate from high school traditionally. I got a GED, but then I got into college. My dad said, "You're not going to college." I said, "Boom, I am going to college." And then I had support. I had a great babysitter, Mrs. Marva Johnson. May she rest in peace. I love that woman so much. She watched Jalen when he was 8 months old until he was about 3 or 4. So I could go to school, so I could go to undergrad. And then I worked. I had a great job, a great part-time job. My mother-in-law, my mother, everybody kind of chipped in and helped. You definitely needed a village in order to survive. And I did have that. So I'm thankful. And I was able to graduate. Everybody wanted to see me graduate. Like everyone, my aunts, my aunties, my cousins, my uncles, everybody was like, we're going to make sure that we do whatever we need to do so that Nikki graduates. And I did. And they threw me like the biggest graduation party. I mean, all of DMV Africa was at my graduation party. And my dad was there too. I mean, I still talk to him to this day. Our relationship is definitely strained, but I understand that it's a matter of upbringing, and culturally he just couldn't understand. And he couldn't see the future. He didn't realize that having a baby didn't have to be the end.
And for you, what do you think? I know, of course, now you're looking back at that time, but what were you learning about yourself? Because I think those young adult years, right? Like you're really setting the precedence for your confidence. You're setting the precedence for what you believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. So what were the things that you were learning about who Nikki was and what Nikki was capable during this time?
I think pretty early on, I realized that I had something to prove. Not just to my parents, but I kind of feel like everyone around me, like classmates, employees, and I found an inner strength to get it all done. Like from staying up, I graduated with a 3.2 GPA. I was team get it done then, and I am team get it done now. That's definitely something that I have held on to. When you're faced with adversities, you don't know how strong you can possibly be until you're in that moment. And I definitely had times where it seemed like I can't do this. I can't take care of this kid. I can't get him to practice. I can't finish my work. But somehow, and by God's grace, I was able to get it done.
Right. I always tell people, you never know what well, it's more of so, you know how people say, oh, I would never do that, or I would never do this, right? You never know what you're never going to do until you have to choose whether you're going to do it or not, right? And the flip side of that works. You never know what you're capable of until you have to figure out how things are going to get done. So I love that you said that. So let's fast forward back to, you said 2010, you just moved to New York. You graduated from college. You're armed with all this excitement for your future, PR. What was the dream at this point for you, Nikki?
I was really excited to move to New York and live this whole devil wears Prada, running in heels lifestyle. This is 2010. So this is like, during the Hills and Kel on Earth and all of those types of shows that really glamorized working in the fashion industry. So I wanted to go in, look amazing every day, show the girls that, yes, I'm from Maryland, but I still have style, but also work at a really prestigious fashion PR agency. And I had some incredible internships. I worked, at some of the biggest names. But in the beginning, I learned really quickly that I was the minority. There were not many Black girls that worked in fashion PR, that worked in editorial at that time. And it's so funny because 11 years later, you have all these Black girls at the helm of publications. Lindsay People, she's the editor-in-chief of The Cut right now. And Jessica Krull, she's now the EIC of Allure. Like, you have all these amazing women that hold these titles, but back then it wasn't like that. And so I hustled, I worked hard, and I really wanted to work my way up. Unfortunately, I wasn't hired. And I would say for no other reason besides me being Black, You
really think like that was...
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. There was one specific internship that I held, and I loved the company. I interned there for 6 months, and it was kind of like, okay, well, once you're here for 3 months, you can possibly be hired. So 3 months goes by, 6 months goes by, cool. A new girl comes in, and that day they told me to train her. And so I'm training her. She's Asian. I'm training the girl, not thinking much of it. And another intern was like, that's your new boss. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, that's your new boss. Like, she had literally just graduated from college like 2 weeks before. And they interviewed her and hired her for the assistant position that I had literally been working my ass off for the past 6 months.
And they had the nerve to have you train her.
And I trained her. And it gutted me. When I tell you, Raina, that it gutted me, I quit the internship a couple of weeks later. And it was right about, and then I kept getting internships, but was never offered the position. And I'm just like, what is going on? And so at
this point, like, you can't be doing this forever because you have a family at this point. I have a family too.
I have a family. I have a 10-year-old son. And so I would intern during the week, 5 days a week in New York, and commute back home to the DMV every weekend. And these are unpaid internships. It's not like today where, you're getting paid an hourly. It's illegal to have unpaid interns. It wasn't like that back then. So I was not making money. My husband, then boyfriend, was footing the bill for me to live in New York and to pursue these fashion PR dreams. And he was essentially a single dad during the week. It was a lot going on. And he was like, putting the pressure on me, like, when are you going to get a job? When are you going to get a job? When are you going to get a job? So it was a really, really stressful time. And I was so frustrated. So in 2011, this is a year after interning, I still don't have a job, mind you. So I'm like doing side hustles, working as a bartender, anything to make ends meet in New York. But I was just so frustrated with the industry, and I knew exactly what the issue was. That is when Osei PR was birthed. And I was like, you know what? You guys are going to hire me. I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to have my own PR company, and I'm going to have my own showroom, and I'm going to hire only Black girls. And so Osei PR was birthed in 2011, but it was still kind of a hobby at that time. I did freelance projects, small fashion shows, and it kind of remained a hobby until 2016. I did eventually land my dream job. That was in 2012? 2012, I landed my dream job. In the midst of all this, I had my second child, Nick, because I was traveling back and forth to the DMV every weekend. I went home one weekend and got caught up. So
it happens, right? It happens.
It happens to the best of us. So I actually ended up moving back home to the DMV, feeling so defeated. Like, Nikki, you invested so much time and money and work, and you had to move back home, and, your dream is over. But I was relentless. So I started applying to positions, and I actually landed my dream job in 2012.
Dream drivers, as you guys know, I have a new baby on the block, and I'm back in diaper mode full time. Life as a mom of two can be super chaotic, so I need a diaper brand that's reliable and works just how I need it. That's why I'm a Pampers Swaddlers mama. Fear no leaks, one of my biggest pet peeves with the new and improved Pampers Swaddlers. They now feature a blowout barrier at the back waist to help prevent up to 100% of leaks and even blowouts. Plus, the dual leak guard barriers at the legs help protect where those leaks happen the most. And newborn days are poopy central, and if you don't have to deal with a mess during changing time as a mama, that's gold. I remember being traumatized those first few weeks with baby Axel. So with this new blowout barrier, it's so clutch because it means it's just one less thing I have to worry about. Less mess, less hassle, less stress, which means more smiles, more time enjoying that baby, and more dream driving. P.S. I love that Pampers Swaddlers is hypoallergenic, meaning I never had to worry about diaper rash. With Axel, and his skin was always so healthy, so I'm looking forward to that this time around too with the new baby. Go download the Pampers Club app today and earn Pampers Cash so you can try and fall in love with Pampers Swaddlers too. Walgreens knows you need your medications, but sometimes what you really need is a prescription for more time with your family or friends, or just more time to do what you want on a Saturday afternoon. That's why Walgreens offers same-day RX delivery to where you are. So you can get more than just your meds. You can get your prescription to save time at the pharmacy. And when you have pharmacy questions, which let's face it, we all do, Walgreens will be there for you with a helpful 24/7 pharmacy chat. So when you need to know, which med do I take before bed again? Or is it safe to have a glass of wine with my prescription? You can ask a Walgreens pharmacy expert that question, no matter where you are or what time of day it is. And that gives you more than just answers. It gives you your prescription for peace of mind. Delivery is available on eligible prescriptions only. See details at walgreens.com/prescription delivery. Can I ask you a question real quick? What do you think made you so relentless? I love that word. What was driving that relentlessness? Is that a word? Yeah.
Yes. Dream driving, girl. Because I feel like if you are really passionate about something, it won't leave you alone. It won't let you go. Even to this day, I'm just like, oh, PR is so stressful. But deep down inside, I love it and I'm really good at it. So I think even back then, it's like I've invested all this time, this energy, this money for this career. I am going to see it through. Like, I'm not going to give up on the stream. And then again, it goes back to what I said before about having something to prove. I kind of felt like, everyone is watching. Like, the streets are always watching. But I just felt like everyone is watching. Nikki has this, quote unquote success story. She had her baby when she was 16 and she moved to New York. And, oh, wow, she had another baby and had to give up. No, I didn't. I did not give up, So it was always something to prove. But now that I'm older, and we'll touch on this a little bit later, I realize that I don't have I don't have to prove anything to anyone except myself. But back then it was about showing everyone that no, having 2 kids did not deter me, moving back to the DMV, and that none of this deters me. I'm going to have exactly what I set out for. So I moved back home and was always on Craigslist, LinkedIn, fashionista, looking for jobs, landed my dream job. My husband was like, boyfriend at the time. He said, I'm happy for you that you got your dream job. I'm not moving to New York. And I'm also not in a position to take care of a baby. Nick was 6 months old at this time.
He said, listen, I've been doing it for the past.
He said, I've been doing this and I'll keep doing this with Jalen because he's older, but I cannot take care of a baby. So if you want to go to New York, you got to take that baby with you. And I did. Wow. And I did. I moved back to New York and I had Nick during the week there. Sean had Jalen during the week here. And that only lasted about a year because it was incredibly exhausting.
And your family was back in the DMV too, right?
My entire family's in the DMV. So I lived in New York with a baby by myself. And it was the right opportunity. I love the job, but just the wrong time. You know how sometimes there's like a meme that says if you have to force it, let it go, or something to that effect. And I wanted the job and I forced it and I tried to make it work, but it was depleting me. It was depleting my husband. And like, if you are familiar with New York and how expensive it is,
girl,
my gosh, it's expensive as hell as, a single Black woman. Now, add a baby and childcare and commute. I was making enough money to pay for my daycare and formula, and that was pretty much it. Oh, in my apartment that I was renting, there was literally no extra money. To the point where it's like, okay, what am I going to eat?
And it's also like, what are you doing it for too, right? Like,
what am I doing it for? I love this. I love this industry, but I'm not enjoying this right now because it requires you, fashion, beauty, like just PR lifestyle. It really requires you to be out late, late nights with clients, late events. And I'm literally leaving the office. I'm like, I got to get back to my son, at 6. And, my boss is looking at me. My coworkers are looking at me. It was stressful as hell. So finally, my husband had a come to Jesus moment with me and said, Nikki, I know that you want this so desperately, but like, it's not sustainable. You're not happy. You're literally wasting away because you can't afford food. You can't afford food, and I miss my son. I only see you guys on the weekends. So I made the hard decision to move back home. This was in 2013. So I'm back in the DMV and I'm just feeling so defeated. Like I've done everything I can. But I ended up finding a remote fashion PR position.
In 2013, wow.
In 2013, this is how I know that I'm like, it was meant
ahead of the look. That was that you were being a meteorologist, right? You
right.
Things that were come in the future.
Literally, I found a remote fashion PR position, and I worked with this company for 3 years, and I was basically the sole employee. I went from overseeing 2 accounts to basically seeing 10 to 15 accounts. It was at this company that I started to work with beauty brands. I started to do sales and get clients, retail accounts. I learned a lot remotely. There's a lot of trial and error, but I was able to do that in the privacy of my own home, thankfully. And so after 3 years of doing that, and I was so thankful for that position too, because I was able to make money, do what I love, travel to New York when I wanted to, be a present mother. I'm so grateful for that position. But the experiences that I had in New York are what made me so desirable to my boss, because people locally didn't have the skill set that I had for that time that I spent in New York. So but after 3 years of working with that company, I kind of started to feel like, you know what, Nikki, you can do this on your own. So August 2016, I decided to go full time with Osei PR. And I actually just celebrated 5 years of entrepreneurship. And I actually forgot the day. I forgot the anniversary because I was so busy. And then like my Insta stories reminded me, and I'm like, wow, I have literally been an entrepreneur for the past 5 years. So
congratulations on that, right?
Thank you.
This game is very hard. It's very tough. It's very You know, it can be very draining at times, but at the same time, like you said, it reveals so much about who you are and reveals so much about what you can do. So I am just impressed and inspired by just, you know, from where we've gotten to, because the story's not even done. Nikki's story is just getting started, right?
I guess.
When you launch Osei PR, right? Did you ever imagine, like, because, you know, we have District Motherhued, we have the Momference, right? At that point, did you have a game plan for the future? Or were you going to say, all right, I'm just going to figure out where this takes me?
It was kind of sort of, I want to figure out where this takes me. I knew that I wanted to work with a very select clientele, focus on my niche of, you know, fashion, beauty, and lifestyle. But having these mom brands, District Motherhued, the Momference, none of that was a thought. My goal was to focus on building my PR agency, and that was it. However, with me being a young mom, I was 32 at the time, and I lived in the DMV. I kind of started to think to myself, like, well, where do moms make friends? You know, where are the mom communities in the DMV area? And for those listening, DMV, that's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I know some people call the DMV like where you go get your license in other states.
I was just realizing that people, even especially if they're not East Coast, they wouldn't know. Sorry, non-East Coasters.
Right. But yeah, I just started to think, you know, where do moms make friends? You know, are there Black communities? Black mom communities. And I did some research. I found that there really aren't any. Besides Mocha Moms, which is like the OG mom community. I think they're like 20-something years old, and they kind of paved the way for District Motherhued. But there weren't any communities that catered to like young Black professional millennial mothers that still like to look good, have a good time. And people have this misconception, like once you become a mother, like your life is over. You no longer take care of yourself. You don't like to go out. And that's definitely not the case. So I just kind of thought to myself, well, why don't we have like a mixer or some kind of event where we can meet other moms? And I reached out to my sis, Simona Noche. That's my sis now. Back then, she was an Insta friend. Shout out to social media for connecting all of us. Social media is such an amazing tool when utilized properly. And so Simona and I, we were just Instagram friends. Literally, I saw her page. She was a film publicist. So we had that in common. She's also from Ghana. She's a boy mom. Like we just had so much synergy. And I was like, you know, why don't I reach out to her and see if we can like put together some kind of mom event for Black moms in the DMV area. And so I hit her up, I emailed her and was like, well, why don't we meet for coffee? We met for coffee at a shop in DC and just talked about, you know, the landscape in the area. And it quickly evolved from a one-off event for Black moms to an organization. Like, okay, well, can we provide resources to Black moms? Can this be some kind of platform? Can we host multiple events? Can we do nonprofit initiatives? So from that one coffee date in August, District Motherhued also just celebrated 5 years, which is wild to me.
Congrats again.
Thank you. Even though we had a vision for District Motherhued, neither of us saw what it's become. So we had our first event, October 6th. It was the Mom Loft. And basically it was like the Momference, but in beta. We sold 50 tickets, 50 moms came. There was wine, there was home cooked food. Moms could shop Black-owned, mom-owned vendors. We had complimentary headshots. And it was just an opportunity for moms to get to meet other local moms. So we did that first event. And it went viral in the DMV. Everyone was like, what is this? What is going on? When is the next one? That was October 2016. And now it's 2021. We have hosted countless events. We launched the Momference May 2018. And the Momference is the nation's first full-scale conference for Black millennial mothers. We have celebrity keynotes. We have various mom influencers. Everyone flies into the DMV for this one-day conference. Yeah, we launched that in 2018. In 2020, we transitioned and became a 501c3, and we have various initiatives that we run. We do our back to school drive, where we give anywhere from 500 to 1,000 backpacks out to 4 schools in impoverished areas. We do our Christmas project, where we basically fulfill moms' Christmas lists, those for moms that are in need. We do weekly walks for new moms to help with postpartum, and we're working on additional programming for 2022. But again, we didn't see any of this. We were just like, let's just find some moms and kick it with. And now we are 20,000 moms deep. And so is the Momference, and we're growing every day.
So as you were talking, right, I was kind of like scribbling all these notes, right? The first thing I have down here is not hesitating when the idea comes, right? I'm trying to kind of go back now through all that. You talked about where you are now, where you started. And for me, it's like, you did not hesitate to reach out to Simona. Maybe you did, or maybe it took you some time. I don't know the timeline there, right? But you actually did, and that set off this domino effect. So can you speak to our dream drivers? Because there might be somebody listening who is sitting on something, on an idea so great, but they are hesitating.
I will say this, and I think I said it a little bit earlier, I'm team get it done. I also do not hesitate at all. If you have an idea, I feel like God placed it on your spirit for a reason. So explore it and see where it goes. And I think that because I am a publicist, I am used to reaching out and pitching. And what's the worst that could happen? You know, an editor says no, a client says no, someone's not interested. And I honestly don't take no for an answer. And I think that's why my clients are so pleased with my services because, you know, okay, this editor won't write about it. Cool, I'll find the next one. So I reached out to Simona. It was instant. As soon as I had the idea, I wrote the email, and we met up for coffee, and she's the same way. And I think that's why we work together so well, because we had this idea. When I tell you within 48 hours, we had a name, District Motherhued. We had a logo. I reached out to Mia Gaines. She's an amazing branding specialist in the DMV. We reached out to her. She made a logo. We had an Instagram page. We had a landing page. 48 hours, sis. We don't wait. Because while you're delaying and sitting on this idea, there's nothing new under the sun. It's a matter of who is going to do it first and who is going to do it best. And with District Motherhued, I think that we just happen to be the first to do it. And we are also, you know, I would say the best to do it. But Maddie James said that, and it stuck out to me because we literally all have the same ideas. It's just a matter of execution. So when the Lord places something on your spirit, pursue it and see where it takes you.
I love that. And something else that I wrote down here is, so you guys had this idea, you launched it out to the world, and the reception, right? People loved it. That means that you were solving a need, right? Mm-hmm. What else do you think were the keys to success there within the Momference District Motherhued? Like, why do you think it was such a success and you were able to get so much traction?
Like you said, we definitely solved a problem. We filled a void, and also the execution. So I am a PR girl. I do a lot of, sponsorship outreach and all of that. Simona is also a publicist, but she is an incredible event planner. Her attention to detail is unlike anything that I've ever seen. And I've learned so much in working with her over the past 5 years. And it's like the perfect marriage. So we create these experiences and we execute them so flawlessly. So the moms that attend our events, they are always in awe of what we produce. So I think it's not only the idea, it's the execution, but also the consistent execution. And sometimes it is pressure, but if you ever go in our comments on the Momference or District Motherhued after an event, it's like, we didn't think you could top yourselves, but you topped yourself. What are they going to do next? So the moms that attend our events, they are expecting Chick-fil-A service, personalization, branding, a world-class experience, and we over-deliver every time. So I do think that has helped to sustain the response, the consistent, flawless execution.
Love it. Love it. Let's talk about some of the
braggy. I'm not trying to sound braggy. It's just,
no, you're not.
It's
listen,
facts.
and
it's just facts, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, it really is. And it's funny because I keep thinking about how did I first hear about the Momference. So back before the pandemic, back when people were doing live events, I think, what was it? I was working with Nikayla of Side Hustle Pro, her podcast, and I helped her produce, like, that's a whole other story, right? But basically she was like, girl, you're good at this type of stuff. Help me produce my first live show. And we were able to work with the merch. Oh my God.
Merch studio.
Yes, the merch studio. And I think they had pitched Nikayla because, like, they were like, we help with the Momference. And that's how I then found out about the Momference. So because I wasn't a mom then, I'm like, oh, this is nice. But it didn't connect with me as well, only because I wasn't a mom yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So sis, that means that you need to come for 2022 because it's not a game. It's year 5. You definitely need to be in the number.
Yes, I need to be there. I will be there. Okay.
You will be there. You'll be media girl. Yes.
And so what I was going to say is, so thinking about you guys are building this dream that you have, seen it come to life. But with any dream, you don't always want to talk just about the positives, right? There are going to be hiccups. There are going to be challenges. There's going to be times when you might have to even put the dream into park or reverse or neutral, right? Talk to me through a challenge that you guys had to work through at this time and how you were able to navigate through it, past it. Maybe you haven't yet, but just give us the reality of dream driving for some of us sometimes.
So, I mean, that's a heavy question. So District Motherhued is a labor of love. It really, really is. We're a 501c3 nonprofit now, and we are positioning ourselves for grants and funding. But a lot of our events, they tend to be self-funded, and the Momference is profitable, but, not all of our events are profitable. So especially in the beginning, I think our husbands and significant others, they didn't understand what we were building. Now they get it. But back then it's like, okay, you guys are doing what, and you need what? And we needed money. We were taking money out of our own pockets. Of course, we would charge for events at that time. And we've had to hit up our husbands for money, when our bank account was red. So like building this, you really have to have a heart for this work because it is not always profitable, but we genuinely love serving other moms. So that, I guess, makes it tolerable. And now, like I said, the Momference is profitable, and we have a new group, DMS, that also brings an additional revenue. But I think finding ways to consistently monetize District Motherhued, that is a struggle. And people always say to us, like, well, you guys have 20,000 followers and you guys are doing this and you guys are always in magazines and this and this. But it's like, how do you really monetize the organization while also still doing good work and not making it all about the money? If that makes sense. If that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think there's also a lot of times too where you want to make sure that you don't like sell out the idea. You know what I mean? Because you could easily pimp it out, and then it become this whole monster of like all these corporate sponsorships, and then the whole heart of what it was, it gets lost. So I definitely think that can be tough. And then also too, and now that I work on I work in brand partnerships for like Viacom, CBS, right? And now that I'm on the other side of just seeing how deals get made and who are decision makers, sometimes I think Black-owned brands aren't necessarily getting the eyeballs of these big funders. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And
that's also a problem right there as well.
I can definitely speak to that. We have seen other mom conferences that do not have the traction, that do not have the attendance, that do not have the social media impressions. I mean, the Momference kind of like lingers forever. And right?
You got to prove yourself extra hard for the dollars you get, right?
We have to shuck and jive for this money that we try to get for the Momference, but we'll see like, oh, well, Toyota sponsored this conference. It's like, okay, well, nobody even attended that conference. And okay, but I'm going to pitch this exact same sponsor. I'm going to provide her with the deck, the analytics, because our back end is tight. No response, but you're going to give this conference $100,000. And I know that you did. So that can be a little hurtful and disappointing. We have definitely dealt with that for the Momference specifically. And it is unfortunate that we have to constantly prove ourselves. But I think that we have proved ourselves. So next year, when you pull up to the Momference, there's going to be a car outside.
Yeah.
We're going to have all the sponsors for 2022, but for sure. And I also will say that the Momference kind of put Black millennial motherhood on the map, where brands weren't even looking at us as like viable consumers, when in fact, Black women, Black mothers dictate, I don't know, 3.2
we run the world, honey.
Dollars.
We run the world.
We really, really do. It's an article in Forbes talking about our spending, how we influence all purchases, household, everything. We are true consumers. So it's like, how dare you ignore us? And it wasn't until brands started to see what the Momference was doing, see the brands that showed up to the Momference sell out repeatedly, consistently, end up in magazines. They're like, okay, well, maybe we should take a second look at this demographic. But it's like, why did it take you so long? Why are you so late to the party?
And I think it also shows like you can't give up on the dream too, because y'all could have easily said, all right, year 1, year 2, District Motherhued, we're not, like, you could have easily said, all right, we're not getting the money, we're just going to end it. But sometimes you do have to kind of be in the long run because things evolve.
Things evolve. You definitely have to be in it for the long haul. And we believe so much in District Motherhued and the Momference because of the feedback that we receive. I mean, to the point of tears, we're like, wow, like this woman was going through postpartum and contemplating suicide, and she bought a ticket to the Momference, and now she's like, wow, my life is worth living. And these are the resources that the Momference has provided me with to go seek help. People who are like, I have no mom friends. And then they come to the Momference and then end up sitting next to a mom that lives on their street that they just never happen to bump into. Like the connections and the relationships that are fostered. You literally leave the Momference and you're on cloud infinity for like 3 weeks. So it's worth it to us to keep pushing forward, not just for the Momference, but also District Motherhued. It's bigger than us. Simona, she always says that there are different types of ministry. And we may not be in a church, we may not be at, the pulpit, but District Motherhued is definitely doing God's work.
Yeah. And, you talked about how you guys evolved, but at the same time, and you mentioned this earlier, you evolved too, right? You mentioned that in the beginning of, let's say, your dream driving journey, just had your son at 16 years old, you were trying to prove something, right? You were trying to prove the naysayers wrong. But as you grew older and your confidence improved and you had so much experience under your belt, you realize, wait, I don't have to do this for anybody but myself. Can you speak to that evolution of who you're doing it for and why you're doing it?
Yeah, I think just becoming so much more self-aware. And I think that also comes with age, with maturity and exposure to other moms in our District Motherhued and the Momference communities, therapy. I've been a mother. I'm a 3-time mom now. Fancy Faye, that's my daughter. And I realized that I've been a different mother with each child. And with Jalen, my oldest, I was still trying to find myself. We grew up together. And we have a very different relationship than Nick. Nick, I was still kind of in the trenches, trying to prove myself to everyone. But now with Faye and also with Nick, it's about me being present for them and being the best mother that I can possibly be. And I also think that sometimes as mothers, we can be incredibly hard on ourselves. And sometimes I do have mom guilt about, leaving Jalen to pursue my dreams, transitioning Nick to New York as a baby. So right now, my focus is not about proving anything to anyone. It's about proving to myself and finding some redemption for myself as a mother. And I know that as moms, we also have to give ourselves grace because we are doing our best. And 16-year-old Nikki was doing her best as a mom. 27-year-old Nikki was doing her best as a mom. 37-year-old Nikki is doing her best as a mom. We have to give ourselves grace. But right now, I'm not worried about anyone or anything except for my children, my husband, who has been in the trenches with me, and then, creating multiple streams of revenue that I can pass down to my kids. But as far as the exterior, everybody else, I can't worry about that. but it took me so long to get to this place and space.
No, but I think that's also encouragement for people as well, right? Because there's so much that can happen if you don't give up on yourself, right? Like, who knew that this idea for connecting Black millennial moms will come to you when you always thought that you were going to be like this only like PR fashion girl, right? But those skills and the skill set and the experience definitely lended itself to creating a phenomenal community for Black women, Black mothers. So like, it all connects, right? It all connects. And the last thing I would love to just speak to you about is how with dream driving, it doesn't only have to be one journey, right? There can be multiple roads that you go down. And I know recently you now added a new title to your resume of author, right? So talk to us about what inspired you to write this first book of yours and how you kind of think this plays out in the overall dream driving journey for you.
It's so incredible to me because this is a dream that I never knew that I had, and I didn't. I think everything ties back into my motherhood journey. And I recently had this epiphany that every part of who I am today ties back to me becoming a mom at such a young age. Motherhood is truly my ministry. So I gave birth to my daughter, Fancy Faye. She was exclusively breastfed. We talked about that a little bit earlier. And so my plan was to wean her at the beginning of the pandemic or pre-pandemic before we knew what the panorama was. And due to us being in the house, I was not able to wean her. I ended up breastfeeding her for longer than intended, 22 months. When it was time to wean her, I documented my entire weaning journey via Instagram, and I was very transparent about it. And I think that's another reason why our District Motherhued and the Momference brands thrive, because Simone and I are both very authentic, transparent people. I don't paint the picture of like, motherhood is just all, cute photos and mommy and me outfits, even though I do a lot of that too. But I keep it very, very real and raw in my story. So many moms connected with what I was sharing, and I received so much feedback like, oh my gosh, I'm weaning my son, or I can't wean my son, he's 4. I just heard so many stories. And one of our District Motherhued moms DM'd me and said, you have a book title here, sis. While I was weaning Faye, I kept saying to her, boobies go bye-bye, boobies go bye-bye, boobies go bye-bye. And she DM'd me and said, boobies go bye-bye is a book title. And I was so shook when she said that to me, like, wait, what? And I went to sleep, and God came to me in my dreams and co-signed it and said, okay, Nikki, this is what I want you to do. I want you to write the story. This is what I want the cover to look like. I want you to co-author it with this person, Sienna Riley. She's another mom in our District Motherhued community and an amazing author. I want you to release this book in August during Black Breastfeeding Week. Like, God broke it all down. And I woke up the next day like, wow, I'm about to write a children's book. This was the end of January, early February. It goes back to your point about not hesitating. I don't wait. And I'm so thankful to God that I had the resources to make this happen, because writing a children's book isn't cheap. But I reached out to Sienna. She was really excited and interested in the idea. We co-authored the book. We submitted the manuscript April 1st. Pre-orders began August 23rd, and the book will actually be available on Amazon for purchase Monday, October 4th, 2021.
So it will be available. You guys can go buy it, because when this releases, it'll be after that date. So it is available right now.
It is available right now. I'll go ahead and say that. And yeah, so it's truly been a labor of love, but it's still been very seamless. Not to say that the process was easy. I learned a lot. I definitely feel stretched. I have a new skill set, and I also have a newfound appreciation for authors, for editing, for publishing, for the entire process. But I'm so thankful that I went through this. I'm so thankful I had the resources to do it. And I'm just so thankful to God for placing this idea on my heart. So yeah, I'm a children's author now too.
I was able to preview it, and listen, it speaks to my journey, because I'm exclusively breastfeeding my son. I'm thinking about how will I ever wean him when the point comes. So it's definitely encouraging to me. Nikki, can I have you on the show and not just ask you this question that I know you probably get from a lot of your moms. You probably speak to this at the conference, but what was your biggest tip for managing motherhood, but at the same time, not losing yourself? Because that's where I am right now, right? Like, I feel like I'm a year in. I'm just starting to feel a little bit more confident in my motherhood. But now I'm trying to like figure out who was Raina before the baby, right? And how do I make sure that she stays and she evolves and she grows and she doesn't get lost in being a mother?
Well, I mean, it definitely takes time to find yourself again, I think. With Faye, I actually suffer from postpartum depression. Faye is now 2.5. I just got my mojo back. So give yourself grace. Don't put too much pressure on yourself and try to remember the things that you loved before baby. And like, I'm a fashion girl. So like, I read my magazines and it's like, oh, wow, I did used to like that. I did used to dress like that. Finding new ways to love and appreciate your new body. But just really revisiting the things that you loved pre-baby and try to incorporate those things in your day. And as far as the juggling and the balancing, it's impossible. I forget who said it. It's like you can do all things, but you may not be able to do all things at the same time or on the same day. And one way that I juggle is to ask for help. It took a while for me to understand this. I think women, we just kind of like bear the brunt of it all and feel like we're supposed to do all the things, but it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to outsource. It's okay to ask your partner for help. And we actually had this conversation not that long ago. And it's like, you're mad at your partner, your husband for not helping, but did you ask them?
These men, they sometimes just don't know. Like, you really just have to be like, can you give him a bath today? Oh, okay, exactly. No
problem. literally, man, they don't think like we do. And we just posted on District Motherhued about how moms have a never-ending to-do list. We're thinking about all of the things, the doctor's appointments, the soccer practice. Oh, well, she needs, bow tie socks for this and Nick needs poster board. We're always thinking, delegate some of these tasks to your husband or your partner, whomever, because they don't always get it. If you ask not, you will have not. So asking for help is definitely how I recently found some kind of balance.
Love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Nikki, so tell us, right? What's next? Where do you foresee dream driving takes you? Are you not looking? Are you just going with the flow? Talk to us about what's next for Nikki.
It's so funny because I posted something the other day in my stories about I never saw myself becoming an author. I saw myself being a publicist, and I am, but I had a different vision and perspective for my career. But at this point, God, you just tell me what to do. I'm following you because, God, you have the best ideas. And I'm just hoping that your ideas align with the plans that I have for my life. So resting in God, praying and seeking direction through him, one. But for things that I would like to do, continue to push my book, Boobies Go Bye-Bye. Now the books are available for purchase on Amazon. We're about to start shipping out pre-orders, pitching celebs and influencers and editors, getting press, looking to getting the book into retailers. I'm really excited about that. I am actually celebrating 10 years of Osei PR this year. So we're rebranding and we'll unveil a new look really soon. Continuing to build our District Motherhued community, landing some grants so we can really, help the moms in the DMV area. We're really focused on maternal mental health, so building out some programming around that. Of course, preparing for the Momference 2022. If you are into event planning and event sponsorship, then you know that the prep for all of that starts now for next year. A lot of people don't really know that. So we are...
Especially if you want the money too, right?
If you want the coins, for 2022, it's time to start pitching. So really preparing and trying to blow out year 5. We want to wow everyone. We want it to be star-studded. Like, we want it to be a 3-day weekend. It's a whole thing. But I really just want to be healthy and happy and be a present mom. And I think that we will probably, down the line, I could see myself launching like a clothing line or something with Faye. Her name is Fancy Faye. Like, we're in the process of trademarking that. So I see some products in the future too, besides the book.
Based on your trajectory, girl, you just might as you already claimed it, and we know it's going to happen eventually, right? So, yes, love it. last thing, right? If you cannot be a dream driver without your keys to success. So, Nikki, can you tell us 3 things that you think every dream driver needs in their toolkit before they hit the road?
Okay, so 3 things. I kind of feel like prayer and mentorship goes without saying, so I'm not going to include those in the 3 things. So first, you need goals. Because if you don't have a goal that you're working towards, there's no glory. So clearly identify exactly what your goals are. And after you identify your goals, come up with a strategy. So that's the second thing. How are you going to get towards your goals? And make these goals bite-sized. Make the strategy bite-sized, because literally we overwhelm ourselves and psych ourselves out. And like you said, we don't pursue whatever that idea is because the strategy is too complicated. The goal seems too big. So try to make your strategy bite-sized. And the third thing I would say is organization and time management. And I'm talking to myself here as well, because you can have all the goals and all the strategy, but if you are not organized and if you don't know how to manage your time, you will not be able to implement these strategies. And I, as an entrepreneur, especially, like, you manage your time. If you don't have a CMO or somebody like hounding you on your back, it's up to you to be incredibly disciplined and schedule these blocks of time to do your work. If you're not managing your time, you might as well just give up on the dream altogether. So those are my 3 things. Outline your goals, create a strategy to reach your goals, and be organized and manage your time well.
Thank you so much for sharing this, Nikki. I have had such a pleasure talking to you. Before we go, can you please tell our dream drivers where they can find you, connect with you online, if they want to learn more about what you do, and just make sure that they're not missing more Nikki moments?
Yes. Raina, thank you so much for having me. I have been listening to Dreams and Drive for so long. You are incredible at what you do. You also inspired me to launch a podcast, which is coming out soon. Dag, forgot to mention that. So thank you for the work that you are doing.
Thank you. It's funny because when you were talking about like the thing that you love that just keeps coming back, for me, it's always been interviewing people in some form, right? Like when I had the baby, I kind of had to drop off and figure out how I was going to get back to be consistent. But this is my happy space. This is where I feel like, not saying I feel worthy, right? But it's like the thing, this is my gift. And
it is truly a gift.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how it evolves in my own dream driving journey. I mean, I know there's more work that I could be doing, but I'm figuring it out with managing motherhood right now. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate that.
You're so welcome. And the thing is, the work looks different in every season. I was literally just telling a girlfriend like that. Like some seasons you go, you're hustle, you're grinding. Other times, you might be able to send 3 times a day, especially with the new baby at home. So you just kind of go with the flow, give yourself grace in each season. You're doing a good job. What does that song say? Girl, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job.
Dance right now.
You're doing a good job, girl. So keep going. To keep up with me, you can follow me on Instagram. That's where I am most active. My profile is Chocolate Fashion PR. That's CHOL, the number 8, FASHN PR. You can also follow us at District Motherhued. That's HUED because we're beautiful hues of brown. And then also the Momference.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Nikki, once again. This has been amazing, and we'll chat soon.
We will chat soon. Thank you so much, Raina.
All right, so that's a wrap for this episode of Dreams and Drive. I hope you enjoyed our guest's dream driving journey as well as listening to their keys to success. If you love this episode, you know what to do. Please make sure that you are following us. We are at Dreams and Drive across social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So make sure you're sharing this episode, posting it to your Instagram stories, texting it to a friend, sharing on LinkedIn, wherever you are or online. Just pay this forward and share this with somebody. We really appreciate it. And all the sharing that you do helps us grow our community. If you want to join our email newsletter, The Keys, and get weekly updates delivered to your inbox, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/join. That's dreamsanddrive.com/join. And lastly, if you know somebody who would be great for this show, or if you are someone who would be great for this show, please go to dreamsanddrive.com/pitch. I'm always accepting new guests. I'm always accepting new pitches. So I love to see those pitch requests coming in. Keep dreaming, keep driving, and we'll chat again in the next episode. Bye, guys.